Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KnitChat Cafe. For our Tuesday evening get together in the big cafe with our friends. So where we can see what everybody's making and all the things. So my name is Noelle, and this is
Kelly.
And we're coming to you from Southwestern Ontario, Canada. Kind of a rainy day, windy, really windy today.
Yeah, spent a good part of my afternoon out cleaning up after that wind again.
Yep.
We had a crazy storm here this morning again.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ross was out working in that.
Well, I lost some more big branches, so I was not going to be out in my yard in the middle of that.
No.
My son's coming over to do some more tree trimming for me this week, and there's a few branches he won't have to worry about anymore.
Well, at least we're not as hot as we were, because I noticed some people saying
Yes.
in here that they're like 104, and that just makes it hot to even go outside.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Our temperature's down, but it's still, although yesterday was a nice day.
Mm-hmm. It does feel muggy out there again.
It does.
It does. It's still windy, but it's all of a sudden quite muggy again. And I thought maybe we were done that, but it seems like we're back at it.
Kelly, this is just the end of June. We're just starting.
No, I mean done because of last
for that
week.
Heat wave.
Yeah,
Okay.
for that heat wave. And I thought we were going to have several days of the no muggy, but it's muggy. It's humid again.
Yes.
Not as humid as some of the comments we read, though.
No. So
Amy wants to know, but are the squirrels still getting nuts? Yes, Amy, as soon as the storm was over, literally probably 10 minutes after the first rainfall, one of my little babies that come to the door is right back at the door. He's sitting up on his legs. Okay, storm's over. Where's my nuts? It's crazy. They will pretty much eat out of my hands now. So if I am sitting outside knitting on the deck, they are literally coming up. So I can't go out to knit without a little bowl of peanuts with me. It's becoming a thing.
Well, yesterday was a good outside knitting day. Today was a little not as nice, but
no.
Oh well. Anyway, we want to welcome everybody. We're glad you're all here, and hopefully the weather conditions in your KnitChat Cafe are the same as ours in our houses where knitting is possible. So we hope that you enjoy and get some knitting done while you're watching, and hopefully a little bit of inspiration, and we'll just see. So
Susan and Frankie were the first in here. Frankie is a frequent I can't say it, a frequent flyer first in.
A frequent starter. A frequent starter.
There's something in there that I'm trying to put together. My brain's not working, but she's often the first one in here and leaves us a comment, which is always encouraging earlier in the day. And want to say a welcome to Nancy, who signed in and said that it's her first time in the KnitChat Cafe. So welcome, Nancy. It's nice to have you here. And also I want to say hello to Deb, who categorized herself as a dinosaur because she said that she's making her first ever ranunculus. Okay, well, here's the thing, Deb. You're not a dinosaur, but I can also wager that it's not going to be your last ranunculus. Once you get like ranunculus fever, it tends to lead to more ranunculi.
Denise also said she's catching us live for the first time from New Zealand. So hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
And she's watching us in the future.
Future Denise, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, So, so this past week was a little bit eventful. Zoe had a dance recital, so I went down to London for the dance recital, but we've had some pretty stormy weather here, and in London it wasn't that bad, but at the beginning of the recital, while I'm watching the recital, I'm getting all these alerts on my phone. My kids' text group, or our knit family chat group, they're all going, is there a tornado in Sarnia? The warnings are going off. We're supposed to take cover. And I'm like sitting at the beginning of this recital going, oh no. But apparently it was a false alarm. So everybody was fine, but it's pretty scary because I honestly don't recall having to take cover with the alarms going off here.
Oh, really? I do.
I remember when I was a kid and they didn't have the alarms like going to the basement, but I do not remember the alarms going off.
No, in recent
that alarm system's been in.
Not recent years, but probably maybe about 15 years ago. I remember that. Okay. And that's when we lived in the house that didn't have a basement. So there was no basement to go to. And I know that our neighbors across the street called us and said, get over here. They had a basement. So we went over there, and water came in their basement. That wasn't great. But, and I know that my husband's car took some damage because there were some really big hail, like balls, big
Mhm.
size hail that came out of the sky that day. I do remember that. So yeah, but I think that's probably the last time that I can remember being.
I know. I mean, I think we're relatively lucky here. We don't get too many extremes and too many things, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's scary when it happens. And
And
anyway,
then on Friday night while you were at the dance recital, so my husband's sister got married this past weekend. So we've had a lot of sort of like family wedding things going on in the past week leading up to. And Friday night we were doing the rehearsal. She got married outside on Saturday down at the river that we have here. And it was a beautiful ceremony. The day was lovely. But Friday night we were doing the rehearsal, and then we went back to his other sister's house, which is where the reception was being held. And there was one of those, kind of wedding tents set up in the driveway. Thank goodness it was in the driveway, which is crushed gravel because the backyard was flooded quickly.
mhm.
And that storm rolled through. And even though there were big water barrels holding that tent down, like 45-gallon drums, there were 6 of them holding down. The tent pegs were still lifting right off the
Wow.
ground. And we were inside that tent. It was crazy, crazy. But anyway, the storm got out of its system, and we were all set to go on Saturday. So that worked out really well.
Yeah. So that's good. So we didn't make it to the bridge knitting this week,
No.
but hopefully this is just the beginning of it, and we'll have a few good months before we have to go back inside again.
Yes. And you know what? I mean, last year we were knitting well into the fall at the bridge
Mhm.
too. We had
Mhm.
a really nice fall last year. So hopefully we get that again as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. So do you have any questions that
I do today. I've
okay.
got a list of 4, but what do you
Okay, so
have?
you go ahead. And then
Okay.
anything that I've got on mine that's a duplicate, then I won't have to talk about.
Okay. I firstly want to thank Janet, who sent a message this week. And last week I wore, okay, I'll pop up this picture. Last week I wore this sweater, and this was made with the Barocco Summer Silk, which is discontinued. And it is a chainette construction yarn,
Mhm.
cotton and silk blend. And Janet reached out to us and recommended this. She said this is almost the very same composition. This is the Rico Design Fashion Silk Blend DK, 45 cotton and 45 silk with a little bit of nylon in there. And you can see from the photo that it is a chainette construction. And I know that this one is still available. It looks, I mean, without having that in my hand, I can tell you
Mhm.
from the looks of it, it looks exactly like the
Let's
summer
see.
silk. So if you were interested in that sweater I had on last week and you wanted a similar yarn, I think that's a great option. So I want to thank Janet for sending that to us and doing a little bit of research and getting that out to all of you. The next question I had was, what needles do we recommend when we are working with linen or cotton? And I have do we recommend wood or metal?
Yikes.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you look a little different. Okay, let's just let her maybe get re-signed in. We're not sure what happened there. Hopefully it's not a holdover from any storms that are going through the area. I have a couple of trains of thought on working with cotton and linen. Sometimes I like the slip of the metal needles, depending on how slippery the yarn, like a cotton yarn, I don't find it to be incredibly slippery. So I often use my metal needles because the cotton I feel is a little harder on my hands. So sometimes I want that slip of a metal needle. And like currently I'm working on a sweater, which is Drops Bell. I just finished one, which is the Sandnes Garn Lean, and they both feel pretty much the same. And I used metal for both of them because I wanted the slip. But then I've recently purchased a new yarn, which I haven't used yet, and it's Antigone. And I know that our friend Julia was working with it when we were away on the knitting weekend. And she found it was like super slippery. And I think she was wishing that she had have brought some wood needles to work on. So I think you really just have to try both and see what's more comfortable for you. What do you think about that, Noelle?
I think that I use my metal needles for everything.
Yeah.
So I like I find that most wooden needles don't have the same sharp tip that a metal needle has. And I really like the sharp tip. So unless all my metal needles are in use, I usually don't use wooden needles. So, but I do have some of the Antigone too. And who knows, maybe if I find it's too slippery, I might move to the wood. And one thing to keep in mind too is like sometimes people say if you're having trouble with maybe row gauge or having trouble with stitch gauge, that instead of switching needle sizes, sometimes it makes a difference if you switch your needle composition, like go from a wood to a metal or a metal to a wood. And a lot of that probably does have to do with how well the material grips your yarn. Because you might tend to be looser on something that's really slippery, and you might tend to have like a firmer stitch on the needle if you're using wooden needles. So again, I think it's a lot of things with needles is all personal preference, and you just have to try them to see which works best for you.
And there's a couple of people in here that are saying that the Chow Goo bamboo have pretty sharp tips too. So that could be another option if you wanted to try that.
But bigger problem that I have with wooden needles is I sit on them and break them.
So that is problematic. That is problematic. However, if you sit on a metal needle, you're going to get punctured.
Actually, saying that, I did get punctured the other day.
Did you?
I didn't sit on it, but I don't know how I got punctured here. Don't know how, but anyway.
And Haley says that she uses the Knit Pro Symphonies, which I have quite a few of as well, Haley. And she said that she really likes those. I do too. That's pretty much the type of needle that I use. If I am using a wood, I don't often go to an unpolished wood. I go to a high polished wood because I do find it still has a good slip to it.
Yeah.
So, okay. The next thing I had was, this was a question, and it was a good question. We have some things to unpack around the question though. So we have a viewer that wants to replicate an existing sweater that she has. She wants to know if she just weighs the sweater and gets the weight of the sweater. If she were to buy yarn in that weight, would it be the right amount of yarn? So you go ahead.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no.
No, different fibers weigh different amounts. Like if you look at, if your sweater was all mohair, I don't know. It's not.
So it is a cotton sweater that she has.
Okay. Well, cotton's a heavy yarn.
Cotton is a heavy yarn, but what you really need to find out is what is the weight, as in the thickness of that yarn, the gauge of that yarn.
Or I think it's WPI is how they measure it, like wraps per inch.
Wraps per inch, yes. Yeah. So there is going to be a difference in yardage if you were looking at the weight of a fingering weight cotton sweater as opposed to if you were looking at a worsted weight cotton sweater. So I think what she would have to do is first try out some sample yarns to match the gauge of that sweater. And I then think that she could make an educated guess on how much she would need based on the weight. And are you just reading that puncture wound?
Yes.
Story? Okay, we'll share that in a second.
That'll be me.
Yeah. So I think you could make a really good educated guess if you had a gauge swatch that matched. So yeah, but I would be interested to see how you made out with that for sure.
I think a lot of it is like, okay, so you want to replicate the sweater, but it depends. So if that sweater's done in cotton and you intend to do it in a different fiber.
No, she wanted to match the cotton. So
okay, she wants to match that. Yeah. But you still, it's guess. It's a guess. Iffy. Yeah.
I would buy extra from whatever you calculate. Yes. I would buy extra.
Yeah.
Something else you could do is if you found a similar style sweater on Ravelry, for instance, and then that used the yarn that you think you're going to use, just as sort of like a backup check to your calculations, you could see what that sweater called for in in yardage as well. And that
Mhm.
would maybe further assist you and say, okay, yeah, I think I'm in the ballpark. But
Mhm.
definitely I would be padding that number just to
Yep.
be on the safe side for sure.
Yep. So,
Okay. And then the last question I had is, how does a person know what size to block to? And I also think this is a good question because sorry, I'm reading a comment. I also think this is a good question because as a new knitter, firstly, the word blocking is a term that you may not be familiar with. I know I was not. And to block means to either steam or wet your finished object and then lay it out on mats to put it to a specific size, to block it out to that size. How do you know what to block it out to? The pattern should give you some idea of what your finished object is supposed to measure. And where I got really confused as a new knitter, like I would hear people say things like, "Oh, block the heck out of that," right? And especially when we were talking about shawls and things like that. And then I will admit that there were some things that I blocked early on in my knitting blocking career that I probably overblocked. And you don't really want to do that either. So, what have you got to add to that?
um, when I block sweaters, I very rarely pin, because if you pin, it's still going to kind of shrink back in a bit after you've blocked it. So I kind of just get it wet. I kind of pat it out. I've got a measuring tape with me, so I know if I want it to be exactly what the schematic says, then I'm kind of measuring it across the chest measurement and pulling it to where whatever that particular measurement is. However, sometimes depending on what your finish is compared to what you want. So I guess a lot of it's got to do with what you want your finish size to be. And I know people say it will block out, it will block out. There's still only a limited amount that blocking can do. And on the
Yes.
other hand, there's also, if you're using superwash yarn, pulling it out could end up resulting in a sweater that's way too big for you. So I think the schematic is a good starting point, but you've also got to figure out, go back and say, what did you want? What did you want your finished measurement to be? And if you can comfortably block it to that, then that's great. And that this question kind of goes in and relates to one that I had, that was talking about when you're looking at a pattern and you're picking a size, how do you pick it? Do you look at because some patterns will give you right in the beginning instructions, say finished size is, but
Yes.
other patterns will say to fit bust. And
That is a confusing
if
direction
it
for
says
sure.
to fit bust, it means, okay, if you're a 34 to a 36 inch bust, this will fit you the way the pattern is intended to fit. But then there's going to be ease, either negative or positive, built into that. So if you're looking at a finished measurement and you want to judge, I would judge on what the actual finished measurement of the garment is, and
Yes.
then figure out how much ease you want. The best way to do that is to look at a schematic, because the schematic is actually going to show you what the distance is around the chest as opposed to what size it's supposed to fit. And then you can go from there. So if you say, let's say on the schematic, you can see that there's a 34-inch bust finished size. Okay, so you can look at that and say, okay, well, there's also a 36, a 38. Well, I might be a 34-inch bust, but I want 4 inches of positive ease. Well, in that case, I want my sweater to finish 38 inches. So then I'll go back and I'll see which is the size that finishes 38 inches, not the size that says to fit, because a pattern could have, some patterns, if you look at Hohi's boxy patterns, can have like 20 inches of positive ease built into them.
That's right. Yeah.
So
yeah. And you're right.
So-
Gail comments. She goes, and this is why schematics are so important. Agreed, Gail.
Yes.
Because
And
then it
if
gives
there's
the
no
knitter.
schematic,
Sorry, go ahead.
if there's no schematic, do the math. Go to where that pattern splits and you're getting a round the chest measurement. Take that and divide it by the gauge and make sure you're getting the distance or the measurement that you want. So rather than just saying, okay, it was a 34 to 36, but there's no schematic, so I really don't know how much is built in, actually go and do the math. So, but yeah,
Okay.
that's sometimes confusing, and you have to look at that, because some will give you both, like to fit a particular bust size and a finished. So like
Something else that
go ahead.
Something else that I find helpful when looking at patterns often in the description, if you read down, it will say shown on a model in size such and such with 4 inches of ease. And
Right.
then I can look at, and this to me, this is important to see how it fits on a body. And I can think, okay, so she's got 4 inches of ease. I would like that sweater just to fit a little tighter or a little looser. So I'm going to go up or down in ease. So I think that's a really good inclusion in those patterns if they
Yep.
tell you what size they're showing on their models and how much ease they have in that pattern.
Yep. And the thought just went right out of my head.
Sorry.
Oh, just remembered. Just remembered. If you're having trouble deciding, like if you're doing a sweater, if you're having trouble deciding, like if you've got a sweater in your wardrobe similar, go and measure the bust of it. Like if you've
Yes.
got something that you know that you like, how much ease it's got in it, the way it fits around here, and as long as that's similar weight to what you're going to do, if that's what you like, measure that, and then you can go and match your sweater up to that finished bust size. So, okay. Next question that I had was talking about knitting flat and knitting in the round. And this particular question was in regards to a plant-based fiber, saying that when they knit flat, they get quite a different gauge than when they knit in the round, and can see a line going through the garment where they switch from the flat knitting to the in the round knitting, and how to get around that. I am relatively lucky that my gauge does not really change from in the round to flat. I know that some people, when they're knitting back and forth, will get rowing out, in which case you may need to change a needle size, like not both. You may need to change the size you're either knitting or purling. I would think most likely it will be purling that you would have to change. But again, everybody's different, so I'm not positive on that. Now, with the plant-based yarns are, if you do something and you have it on a cord for a while, and then you go back and you start to knit, a lot of times you will see that demarcation line. I don't know whether it's because of the way the stitches lay. If it's been on the cord for a while, you might be better off to rip back a row and knit that over again before continuing on with the rest of your sweater in order to get rid of that. But I do know that that's, you know, if you've got, because I mean, I have whips that are old, you know, and things might have been on. And I do find that sometimes if it's been on a cord for a while and you start knitting it, you will see that that demarcation line. But if you just go back a couple of rows, re-knit them, and then continue on, you should be okay. So go ahead.
Denise is asking about rowing out, which is part and parcel of what you're talking about too. Go ahead.
Well, rowing out is people getting different tension when they're knitting back and forth than when they're knitting in the round. And most likely it's because the tension at which they knit is different than the tension at which they purl. And so what will happen in your knitting, if you look at the back of it, especially if you look at the back, if you look at the reverse stockingette side, you will see 2 rows close together and then a gap, 2 rows close together and a gap. So what's happening is where that tension is changing, you're getting longer stitches. So if you find that in your knitting, you're probably maybe going to have to adjust, like I said, needle sizes either for your knit stitches or for your purl stitches, so that you get a closer match on the tension between your knits and your purls. And changing needle sizes is probably easier than trying to change how you knit.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. About the sweaters, before we leave that, Isabel mentioned, and I did see this, I haven't watched it, but I know that she's been talking about doing it. Nancy Wheeler, who is Knit Sip Happy, today released, or yesterday, I think, released a bit of a tutorial that she has been talking about doing, and it is about sweater fitting, and more specifically, she has a pear-shaped body, as a lot of us do. And so she's talking about how she adjusts sweaters for her particular body size. And I'm sure that she's including some information in there for other body shapes as well. And so if you haven't seen that yet, you could check her out. Again, it's Knit Sip Happy, Nancy Wheeler on YouTube. And Isabel said that it was a pretty good episode.
Okay.
So I'll have to check it out too.
Okay. The next question was about intentional shrinking. So someone has done a sweater that has some alpaca in it. And I can't remember what the other fibers were, but she wanted to shrink it just a little bit. And how was the best way of going about that? Whether she should reblock the whole garment, like get it wet, kind of, wrap it up and get most of the moisture out of it, and then put it into the dryer for, short periods of time, or spray it. Now, I have not intentionally shrunk a garment, so I think if I was going to, I would block the whole thing. I would get the whole thing wet, because that way the moisture is distributed through the garment. So when you put it in, if you do get shrinking, hopefully it's going to be even shrinking, like all over the garment. But has anybody shrunk anything? Or
I
mean,
have.
intentionally.
Yeah, I was going to say my mother shrunk a lot of a lot of things unintentionally. No, I have intentionally tried to shrink something, and what I can tell you is that your knitting has a tendency to shrink this way as opposed to this way. So if it depends on what you're trying to achieve with your shrinking. If the sleeves are too long or the body's too long, shrinking might be helpful. But if the body's too wide or those sleeves are too sloppy, it's if hopefully you have some space to lose lengthwise, because that garment is going to shrink lengthwise, probably more so than it will widthwise. So,
okay, if anybody else has any ideas on it, like I know sometimes I do put superwash garments in the dryer for a little while just to kind of tighten up the fibers in it a little bit, but that's not to shrink it. That's to kind of just, I don't know, tighten up the fibers a little bit.
Tighten it back up. Yeah.
So same with cotton, right? We've talked about that sometimes we know that yarns like the Drops Bell or Sandin's Garnlina, that cotton and linen blends like that do stretch out as you wear them. And sometimes if you put them back in the dryer a little bit, it'll just help to tighten up those fibers again. But in that case, those fibers are still going to probably loosen up again the next time you wear it. Whereas if you intentionally shrink animal fiber garment, it's most likely not coming back to where it was. So if you do that, do it very carefully, like a few minutes at a time, not.
Yeah. And if it has alpaca, be especially careful, because I have some socks that I have unintentionally felted that had a high alpaca content as well. So be incredibly careful with anything with alpaca in it. Very easy to felt.
Okay, and then the next was just a comment, and this is for anybody. I know we have a few knit-alongs going along at the moment, and we know that there's other podcasters that have groups that have knit-alongs in them that you can double dip in. So someone had asked about if you try to post the same post on Ravelry more than 2 times, it gives you a warning saying that you're not allowed to do that. In that case, when you go in, just word something just a little bit differently. So, like in one of them, you might put, my June socks or something. And in the next one, put the socks I knit in June. Like if you just change it up a little bit, it's not going to give you that message. So if you go in and try to post exactly the same thing, you will get that message. But if you just change the wording up a little bit, you'll be fine. So, yeah. And then the last one that I had was about, did anybody know of a good drop spindle tutorial? I have never spun on a drop spindle. So I don't know, but I know we do have some spinners in here. So if anybody's got any good recommendations, maybe you could just post them into the comments, and hopefully we'll have a new spinner on the way. So, but I honestly wouldn't be any good at, I would not be good at drop spindling because I think it takes way too much patience. So
Agreed.
Thank you, Kelly. I know I wouldn't. There'd be spindles flying across the room, I'm sure.
Even for myself, I have watched other people do it, and I'm like, less than zero desire to do that. They seem to be enjoying it. I would just rather buy the yarn and get to the knitting.
Okay. So. Okay, we have a couple of recommendations here. There is the Soulful Spinner, and her name's Lisa. And also Jillian Eve. And I think I have watched some from Jillian Eve, good, because she does others as well. And then Fleece and Harmony did a demo a long time ago on drop spindle. So maybe if you check through their list of videos, you might find that. Yes, and School of Sweet Georgia. I know that I've watched some spinning on it, but not in particular drop spindles. So I hope that helps. So.
Okay. Oh, and Nikki is drop spinning for a cowl as she's watching tonight. So, I mean, it's everybody gets something different out of their fiber journey, right? And for me, I just know that that's not it. Even like Noelle, you're using your e-spinner now. Sometimes I think, oh, it's kind of cool. I like the idea of it, but then there's other times when I think,
yeah, but I was never going to do that. So I'll never say never, but I'm pretty darn sure I'm never going to drop spindle. So, but you never know. You never know.
That's right.
And
We don't
speaking
know.
of
We don't know.
spinning, for all the spinners in the group,
Yes.
Tour de Fleece is coming up. So this is the first year I am going to try and participate, but my goal is just to spin for at least half an hour every day. And if that goes well, who knows? Hopefully I'll continue with that. And then maybe next year I'll up that. But I really like spinning when I sit down and spin, but there's so many things I want to knit, and my preferred craft is knitting. So it kind of takes away from the spinning. So I'm hoping if I can get in the habit of just spinning for half an hour every day, I'll hopefully be able to continue that. So
I'm always excited to see what people have done with their spinning. Like I get super excited about that. Like when you show me something that you've spun up, I'm like, that's so cool that you could take it from this and you could get that. And then I guess the exciting part is that nobody else is going to have that yarn. Nobody else can buy that yarn. Because even if two people bought, I think I'm saying this correctly, even if two people buy like an identical braid, thank you, they still can't come up with the same skein of yarn. It will look different.
Well, not in a dyed yarn, and even the dyed braids are all going to be different, right? Even if it's the same color, it's kind of like hand dyed yarn. It's still going to be different. You might get something similar if you had the same fiber and someone else was spinning the same fiber, like just a basic fiber. Although people's spinning style is different too, so it's still going to be slightly different. It's not going to be like a factory produced yarn.
Right.
So
Isabel says there are only 24 hours in a day and she has to sleep at least 2 or 3 of them. So
I know,
don't talk about spinning or dying.
Trying to narrow down the amount I have to sleep, but unfortunately haven't been able to do that. So yeah, so hopefully, for anybody doing it, it does start, the Tour de Fleece does start June the 29th, and it goes until, I believe, July 21st. And I think you're supposed to spin the days that they're riding. And I believe that there's only 2 days that they don't ride. So supposedly those are your rest days. But that was just something quick. I read about it. But yeah, well, Jessica says she has similar goals for Tour de Fleece. And I'm just wondering, if I spin half an hour a day, how much I can get done by spinning half an hour a day. I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So.
Okay, there was one last question here, maybe before we move on. And I think this is the last one. This one just popped in. Tammy is asking if I could tell a pattern that works best for a head wrap. She wants to make one soon, and she's going to Black Sheep Gathering. So she wants to buy some yarn. So I guess we could just go through some patterns that I have turned into head wraps, and basically any small scarf will do. You have to figure out like what width, and typically so for instance, I made the Sophie scarf, and the first one I made it as per pattern. That's not my favorite one to use as a head wrap because I find it's just a little bit too wide. So there's just like a little bit too much kind of scrunched up at the back of my head. So then I just sized down, and a lot of patterns, that's why I was asking Noelle the pattern that she was working on last week. What was the name of that scarf again? Sorry.
It's called
Ariel?
Be Kind.
Pardon me?
Which scarf?
The one that you
finished. One I finished? Oh, the Elise.
Elise. Okay. So I was asking if that could be narrowed a little bit. Sometimes you may need to kind of play with a pattern and find out what's comfortable for you. And then you also have to find out what length works best for you. I like to work with a head wrap that's about 36 inches. My head is only a 21-inch diameter, but I like to have enough that I twist it and then I tuck in my ends so I get a good hold on that. You can also go into Ravelry, and I've done this recently. Just look up head wraps or head scarves, and there's quite a few in there. There's a few that I popped in that I plan to make, and there's different headband styles. But yeah, definitely any just a narrow. They're very trendy right now.
Yep.
Those little scarves that people are making, and just try it out. But yeah, I think. And types of fiber, just something that has I like something that has a good wool content in it. It can have other fibers as well, but I find that the wool is very breathable wrapped around my head. I don't overheat, and I do wear them even in the summer weather. So the ones that I've most recently been wearing were like Holst Coast, which is a 50-50 wool and cotton. And then I had that paired with Titicaca, which is alpaca. The one that Noelle gifted me that I've worn quite a few times, which was the distance scarf by Olga Putana. That one you made in Atenia, which remind me again, the fiber, it's not even a mohair. It feels like a mohair, looks like a mohair.
Cotton. I think it's cotton and silk. I think. Yeah. I know there's cotton in it for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And Joy's now asking if the Riptide pattern has a head wrap. Not specifically a head wrap, but you know what? That little scarf, you could definitely turn that one into a wrap.
Someone just said earlier in the comments said that they made the Riptide and they used a fingering weight yarn instead of a DK weight yarn, and it was, the size came out perfect for a head wrap.
Yeah, perfect. So yay, bring on the head wraps, friends, and get some pictures posted. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
We should.
That was a long segment.
So what
lots
are you
of
wearing?
Good questions though. What am I wearing? Okay. Hold on. Let me do the marker. Okay. I am wearing the Cloud 9 tee by Andrea Yetman. And actually, I have a couple of pictures that I took right before I popped down here, just so I can show you, because I'm also wearing pants that I made as well. So this is the a view of the sweater, and then the pants, and the pattern company is called Ready to Sew. These are a pair of black linen pants that I kind of found down in my laundry last week. And I thought, I haven't even worn these this summer. Do I like them or not? I don't know, but I put them on and now I really kind of like them again. They're very comfy and cozy to wear. And they're based on the premise, and they're so comfortable. It's kind of, from the front, sort of almost looks like a little bit like a dress, but it has this flap that goes across down into the one leg. But there's so much room in them. I could do yoga in these pants. They're very, very movable. They have a couple of back pockets. I do find myself constantly reaching for a pocket on the side that doesn't exist, but they're just super, super comfy. And since they're linen, I just throw them in the washer and the dryer right after they're done. Easy to take care of. It was the pattern was a little bit weird to get your head wrapped around just because of the construction of the pants, but it's like 2 pieces to put these things together. It's pretty quick and easy. And I think they're a little bit based on I don't know, I'm trying to think, like in Taiwan, I guess like the fishermen that you see on the boats in Taiwan, it's kind of based on those pants. So it is really comfortable to wear. I like to wear this sweater, by the way, too. This yarn is also discontinued, but I know it's still for sale in some places. And I hadn't worn this sweater this summer yet either, but I had gotten it out, rewashed it, and I have to say it feels even better after another wash. Like every time I wash it, it feels better. And I have said that I'm going to buy more yarn, and then I say, no, I'm not going to buy it. I don't need more yarn. But you know what? Now I really think I'm going to go looking for more yarn, because I do. I love this sweater. And every single time I wear it, I get complimented on it. It is so breathable. And you can just I have like just a little tank top under it to wear with these pants. And it's just very, very comfortable.
Okay. And the yarn?
The Barocco Chai. And the colorway is Tomatillo.
Okay, and the composition of the yarn?
Is, I got it. It is 56% linen flax and 44% silk. Okay. So I did not enjoy knitting with it. I've said this before. I say it every single time I talk about the sweater. I did not enjoy the process of knitting with it. It did not feel great on my hands. And it was going back and forth too. So it wasn't even knitting around, but it's like very boxy. So it's a larger sweater to go back and forth on too. But when it was done, it's amazing. It is amazing. So, okay. And you?
Okay. I am wearing, I was pretty sure I put a banner in. Oh, there we go. This is haiku by Knitting for Breakfast. And I think, let me just check here. I do think I have a picture.
There you go.
So this is done in the Loving Path Merlin, which is 90% superwash merino and 10% linen. And the color is called Piper. And I have used this base, and I really do like this base. I mean, that 10% linen, it's amazing actually how much that actually makes it feel like a summer fiber.
Absolutely.
Like, even though it's 90%, even though it's still 90% linen, like, it really does feel more like a summery fiber. It's a fingering weight yarn. So this one is knit probably at about a 24-25 stitch gauge. And I really like her colors. All the colors that she had are beautiful. And it feels, in comparison to Kelly saying that she doesn't like knitting with the linen silk, this blend really just feels like you're knitting with an animal fiber. So it's super easy on your hands, easy to knit with. I don't put this in the dryer. I just basically soak it, soak it, fold it up in towels and lay it out. And I really like it. And I do really like Knitting for Breakfast. Has a lot of nice patterns. I actually just bought another couple of their patterns this past weekend because they had a 40% off sale. And I think that the ones I bought are going to be perfect for the linen that I've got. So I don't really like knitting with summer fibers, but I want the summer sweaters. So I have to knit with the summer fibers. So
yes.
But anyway, but I do really like this. I mean, again, probably for like a 37-degree really humid day, it's not going to be what I would put on, but I find it perfectly for like 25 degrees. It's like 25 Celsius. It's a perfect fiber. So
yeah, absolutely. And that yarn that you made that sweater in, that's the same yarn that I used Debbie's to use or make my Willa knits, which the Willa sweater. And I find that a very comfortable sweater to wear. And you're right, just that little bit of linen. Yeah. And it was much nicer to knit with than this was. But honestly, I do love this.
So
okay.
So we should move on. Do you have any finishes?
No.
I do.
Okay.
I have two. So my first one is the Galadriel socks. So this is my sixth pair of my Christmas Lord of the Rings 2024.
Yay, you are on track.
I am on track. So these are the Galadriel socks, and this is a pattern by Claire Ellen. And most of the patterns that I've used so far are by Claire Ellen. And she really does, they are quite, some of them especially are quite intricate.
Yes.
So some of them I have changed up a little bit. So in this one here, so you can see it's got the pattern goes down each leg of the sock and obviously the opposite leg. So on hers, she had it going, okay, so the one that I did, but she also had it going down just the leg and ending at the gusset of the other one. And then that symbol there that's at the bottom, which is Galadriel's mirror, she had it on the side of the sock. Well, I thought, if that's on the side of the sock, like, it's going to be rubbing against the other sock when you've got them on. So I'd rather kind of have that centered in the back of the sock and just take that braid down the one. So I just modified it in order to do that. And the yarn that I used for these, and I do actually have the real socks, not just the picture. The yarn that I used for these is Leo and Roxy's 80/20 sock, and this is their rose quartz, and this is in their sparkle base. So you can't really see it, but there's like
I can see this. The sparkle is showing on the camera. Yeah, it looks good.
There's a gold metallic that goes through that. So I thought that was perfect for these socks. And again, I can't remember what the heel was in the pattern, but I just did a heel flap and a gusset. So I'm super happy with them. Like them. I'm glad another pair is done. And
do you have next month's picked out yet?
I do. I'm going to show you that right now.
Okay.
So I do have next month's picked out. So next month I am actually going to do the Pippin socks. So Pippin was one of the fellowship he was one of the original Fellowship of the Rings. And I do have a picture of what that one looks like. So it's
doesn't look any easier.
Anyway, but I think it looks cool. It's kind of like got that helix going down it and the braids, and I think it'll be fun. So anyway, I don't want to start it though. I don't want to start it until July 1st.
Yeah.
So, because it's supposed to be my advent where I'm doing one a month, so I don't want to start it until July 1st. But I do have the pattern picked out, and I do have the yarn picked out. So I do a little bit of research to find out like what colors are specific for certain characters. And Pippin was blue, so I am going to use this, which I think is a gorgeous yarn. I am in love with this yarn. This is the Ultimate Sock by Malabrigo. This colorway is called Under the Sea. This is the same base that I used for the Smaug socks, and the feel of it and knitting with it, I just loved. So, and I like the tonality in the yarn. So it's not just knitting with a solid color, but yet it's still solid enough that your pattern will show through. So those will be on the needles next week. I don't know how much I'll have done of them, but they'll be on the needles next week. So
very good.
That will be the next one. So, okay. And then my second FO, okay, so is a sweater, and it is the Pyramid Sweater by Mini Me Knit Designs. And I'll show you just a picture here somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what it looks like. And here is mine.
Very nice.
Okay. I did a lot of modifications.
Yeah, I can see down the front you've done something.
So down the front, okay, so if we go back to this original pattern, so everything, here I'm putting my mouse on it, you can't see, but the body of that sweater is reverse stocking stitch with a slip stitch going down the middle.
Yes.
So reverse stocking stitch is not my favorite stitch. I like the smoothness of the stockingette side. So I just changed it, and mine is all stockingette stitches. So I knew that you would not be able to see that slip stitch going down the front if it was all stockingette, or it would be not very visible. So I changed it to just a 3-stitch garter tab that I put all the way down the front. It's also all the way down the back. And then I also did it down the sides. So nice. This is just to give it, it gives it a little bit of stability, because a lot of times when you're working with a plant-based yarn and just plain stockingette body, it might have a tendency to bias. But if you do something kind of down the sides to like keep that line, it will help with the biasing. So this is done. Oh, I've got a pin in it. This one I did pin down because I had my fan on it so hard today to dry it. But this is done.
What did you use?
I used Barocco Remix.
Okay. So
it's Barocco Remix, which is 30% nylon, 27 cotton, 24 acrylic, 10 silk, and 9% linen. 2 skeins. I have like about a yard left is all I've got left. So 2 skeins of and this is the Remix is the
worsted
weight version.
So I think she has a new one out too, which uses Remix Light.
Yes,
there's a different version.
It's called the Pyramid Light. So
yeah, I've been so
I didn't, because I didn't like that, and I thought, well, I'll just change it, right? And then I also changed the sleeves because they had like a broken kind of thing, but I just did a 1x1 twisted rib with the alternating cable cast off. I did the same thing down at the bottom, and I did kind of a mix up of sizes, because when you cast on, your sleeve doesn't change. You cast on and you start with just like a little tab here where you go out. So my sleeves are the smallest size, but then the body, I went to the second size. So, but I knew I wouldn't need the sleeves bigger, but I didn't want it because it's a heavier weight. I didn't really want it really tight. So I did the second size in the body. So
that's really cute. I like that.
Could see doing more of these, because like it worked up really quickly, because it's on a 5mm needle. That was another thing. I think the pattern might have been used a bigger needle, but I used a 5mm needle, and like it's pretty nice because everything you just has like your little rolled edge at the neck.
Yeah, very little fancy finishing.
Yeah, so there's very little finishing when you're done. When you go back into the sleeves, all you're really doing is the rib. You're not knitting anymore. You're just doing the rib before you bind it off. So And it's
Yeah,
neutral. It's neutral.
It's neutral. I know. How did you manage that? I've been looking at that because I have 3 colors now of the Remix
Of the light. Yeah.
And so I was looking at the lighter version of the sweater because I thought that would
Mhm.
be just a nice one to do for summer.
Mhm. Yeah. So like I said, two of the, and I think the sizes after that take 3 balls of the Remix worsted. And yeah, and it knits up quick. It's just like it comes to my hip bone, so it's not cropped. But I'm hoping that a neutral sweater will be a good addition to my wardrobe because I don't think I have any. So
now, what color is that? That's not almond.
birch.
That's something birch. Okay.
Birch. So it's they don't have names on the label yet, but the color was in the website. The color number is 3901. Okay. But it was called birch because there is almond, and almond is darker.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've used that color. I knew that was darker. Very nice. I like it.
Okay.
Looks good. Okay. Is that it for your FOs?
Yep.
Okay.
How many? Oh, I gotta take that banner off. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I wanted to show something first.
Okay.
Just a second here. We'll just break it up a little bit. So first I wanted to show, this is a little clip that Kendall sent me. I just thought we could all use a little bit of comedic relief, and this is super cute. Miles told Kendall that he wanted a daddy beard, and this is such a cute clip because she put him on a little Snapchat filter, and he was all excited to see the beard. And then I think, like, you can see where he starts to really question, I don't know, do I like this on my face or not? But anyway, I'll just play it. It's only 20 seconds, but it's so, so cute. Mommy has it. I just thought that was so cute. You could tell he was like, I don't know if I want that on my face, right? And then when she got her beard, that was super cute too. But so there was that. And then should we show about the trunk shows that are coming?
Yeah, we should do that before, so we don't forget.
Yeah. So there's this one. There's a trunk show coming up on Saturday, June the 29th from 11 until 4 at the Little Red Mitten. And it's a trunk show launch. Firefly Haven Fiber, which is a new dyer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I think yes.
So she's going to be at the Little Red Mitten on Saturday, and the colors that are on that picture look beautiful. So I urge you to check it out if you're in the area and support her. I won't be there. It's my anniversary that day. I think he wouldn't be thrilled about going to a trunk show. I don't know. Maybe if it was like a car trunk show, but not a yarn trunk show.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had one too, right?
Yes, I do. I just have to find the picture. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I have not been to this shop, but it's not that far. Where's Mitchell from here? I know it's on the way to, kind of turn different when it's on the
down
way
by
to
me.
Chatham.
Yeah.
So this is the itty bitty yarn company, and they are having actually a trunk show weekend. So on Saturdays from 10 to 4, they will have Richard DeVries there. And then on the Sunday from 10 to 4, they will have Piper Socks there. And their address is 89 Ontario Road, Unit C in Mitchell, Ontario. So for anybody that's in the area, all these trunk shows, if you have a chance to go to them, go and take a look and support some local dyers. And yeah, it's always nice to see new yarn. So always nice to have things close to go to so that you don't have to travel too far to.
Absolutely.
So. Okay.
Oops. Sorry.
Okay.
There can only be one driver here.
Okay. We should maybe talk about not whips. Yeah, we are going to talk about whips, but let's talk about our knit-alongs.
Okay.
Because we always forget.
We do. And the end of the month.
And there's finishes for next week.
And there's finishes. So. Yes. So, okay. I'll pull that up and you can start. Whoops. So many things. There it is.
Okay, so we have our year-long sock make-along. So we are getting towards the end of June. So for that, we just want you to enter your socks as you finish them. So when we draw, we actually go back to the very first pair at the beginning of the year up to the end of the current month. And we have 2 prizes every month. One is a pattern prize from Natalie of Remembrances Pottery, and one is a sock yarn prize. So the more pairs of socks you get in there, the more chances that you have to win a prize. So, and Kelly, do you want to talk about the Advent along?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's where you're going to choose a project, and that is something that you're going to have in December. You can break that up into equal parts throughout the year to work on it. So it's taking the pressure off you in December. For my Advent, I am knitting a pair of socks. And for Noelle's Advent, she is knitting a pair of socks a month. And it doesn't matter as long as you've done something on it every month.
That's right.
And we are drawing a prize each quarter. So that is coming up at the end of June.
Yep.
And the prize, it's right here, is a beautiful bag that was gifted to us to give away. And it's this bag here, which is just lovely. It's like a big sweater size bag. It's padded. There's a beautiful zipper, a nice tie here, or a handle, and then this very cute little extra thing that she's done on the zipper. This little zipper pull. It's really cool. It's a beautiful bag. The colors are gorgeous. It's perfect for summer. And the maker is You Got a Bag. That's her shop name on Etsy, and it's Tish. So thank you very much, Tish, for donating that. And there will also be a pattern package as well.
No, the patterns were for the Smash That Stash.
Sorry, there will not be a pattern package. Did I get that right then? Was that bag for the Advent?
Well, it was gonna be a Sandy bag for the Smash That Stash with the pattern.
Okay.
So
was it this bag though for the Advent? Did I do that wrong?
I thought that's what it was, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
We'll have it figured out by next week.
Yes, we'll have it all figured out. Somebody's going to get something nice. That's what I
know. You are going to get prizes.
You are going to get prizes. There will be prizes.
So the other knit along that we have going on is the Smash That Stash, and that ends June 30th. And for that, all you had to do was use yarn from your stash, at least 50 grams of it, and it had to have been in your stash before. Was it before April?
April 1st.
We started it in April, so it had to be in your stash before April 1st. So we will have some prizes to give out next week. So, and then we're also going to have to figure out what our next knit along is going to be.
Yes, and we will announce that next week.
Yeah. So, okay. So get your socks in, get working on your Advent, and get smashing your stash. So, okay. So we will move on to works in progress.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many works in progress do you have?
3.
I have 3. So you go ahead.
Okay. I was just reading a few comments here. Carmen said it was her 46th anniversary yesterday. It will be our 28th anniversary. So, okay.
Oh, before we go, Colette wanted to do if you could do needlepoint for the Advent. Yes, you can.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Oh, thanks, Haley. Haley says that boy just keeps getting cuter. I'll be going out to see him very, very soon. So, looking forward to that too. Okay. So, after last week, I said I was going to cast on 2 Tolsta tees. I cast on 1 Tolsta tee. Because I never do what I'm going to say I'm going to do. But I got 1 cast on, and I've made good progress on it. Is that the back? Yeah, this is the back. So this is the Tolsta Tee by Rebecca Clow. I've got a banner. There we go. And I think I had a picture of it too, although mine looks a little different. And no, I guess I don't have a picture. Thought I did. All right. Anyway, you don't need a picture. This is what it looks like. So I'm doing mine. A lot of the people have done them with stripes, and you did one with stripes, correct? and I decided to do the eyelet. She does show
I love
this.
that. The eyelet, I
I
love
really
it.
like it. I love it. She does show this in her pattern. So I will tell you, there's no actual instructions in the pattern for how to do the eyelet. She just shows you there is a part of the pattern that has lots of images of things that other knitters have done with the pattern. And then she gives you their names so that you can go and check out their Ravelry pages and see what they've made for notes. But this is a very simple thing. So I'm not giving anything away by saying it's just basically it's yarn over, knit two together. That is how you do an eyelet. I'll show you a little bit closer. It is that
Very pretty.
simple.
Yep.
And so the row starts a little bit lower at the back. And then I just made sure that I did one stitch after the raglan increases.
Okay.
I did
before you
a
start
stitch before I started the eyelet. So
Yeah.
every other eyelet row for me ended up so like this one here, you can see this was one stitch. It's close, but this row ended up being 2 stitches away. But that's okay. I'm good with it. I am all good with it. And she suggested that she had done hers every 10th row. So that is what I'm doing with mine. And I am using the
That looks
drops.
good.
I'm really happy with it.
And I love that color.
I do too, but it's no longer available from what I understand.
They always discontinue the good colors.
I wonder if there's a purple in Santa's Garn, or what is the other one called? The
Linnendale. And then someone actually messaged too that Patton's actually has a cotton linen blend too,
yes.
a DK weight. And it's just called, if you want to look for it, it's just called Patton's Linen. And I think it is 35% linen, 65% cotton, and it's a DK weight as well.
But this is cool because even on camera, it almost looks a little bit marled. There we go.
See,
like
now
you can see
that looks darker than the picture that you showed on Instagram.
It does. Well, the picture on Instagram, I was knitting on it outside last night and the sun was shining. So it was changing the color. But I think this is what I see in the camera is pretty close approximation of it. Yeah. So I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So I should be able to finish that this week, I think, because it goes pretty quick, right? Now, I got something else. I haven't even opened it yet because you do this every 10th row. Now, here's what I will tell you. It was really easy to keep track of the 10th row when I was keeping track of my increases. For some strange reason, now that I'm down into the body, it should be super easy to count 10 rows. It does not seem easy for me to count 10 rows.
But can you not count the purl ridges on the back?
Yeah, you would think you could, but it's dicey. So I've been counting it like on my knit companion, but I don't need Knit Companion anymore. So I ordered this on Amazon. It just came in. I haven't even opened it. So I'm going to open it now. Let's see. It's sorry for the crinkling. It just showed up on my doorstep before the show. So this is one of these things where you can count your rows with your stitch. It'd be great if you could get it off the there we go. I was going to say, it looks like it's hinged. So there are 2 of them in the package and it was really inexpensive. So, and it's got on it, like you can see the numbers.
Oh yeah. So you have to move that
each time and it goes up to 10. So I know you would say that's too much work, but honestly, it's not that bad. So
I have one of those that Sandy made us. Didn't you have one?
Yes, I did. And I went and I got it. But this is being knit on a 5mm needle, and Sandy's wouldn't go on the 5mm needle. So I had to get a bigger one, and they gave the measurements of the jump rings, and I measured, and it's going to be good. So it's all good. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is a little bit more than I would probably want hanging off of a garment, but I'm okay with it. And as I said, it was really inexpensive. Actually, it's pretty cute too. It's got not just the little daisy, but there's a little, oh, get there.
Butterfly.
A little bumblebee as well.
Oh, a bumblebee. Okay.
So it's pretty cute. Anyway, so if you're looking for something like that, or if that appeals to you, they're available on Amazon. I know that I probably should have gone to Etsy and supported a small business, but I needed it like now. So next day delivery. Okay.
Okay. So my first whip is This is the 4 of a Kind shawl by Brenda Brayfield. And this, I'm doing this in, okay, so first of all, it's 4 of a Kind because the pattern actually includes actually more than 4. I think it's 6 different patterns in the one pattern. So I've got a picture of what they look like. So here's the different patterns. That's all included in the one pattern. And then the one that I'm doing is this one, and it is actually called the Be Kind. So they all have like a name that's got like kind in it. So I am doing the Be Kind, which has these eyelets every so often. And the shawl gets gradually wider every so often as well. So the yarn that I'm using is Full Moon Fibers. This is their Solar Sock, and this is the Night Swim colorway. So it's a dark, almost black, navy blue with little flecks of different colors in it. So when you knit it, you just get like a little tiny little pops of color every so often. And this is my, since I don't have any easy socks on the go right at the moment. So the I can't take the Lord of the Rings socks to the coffee shop. It just won't work. So anyways, I need to have something that's easy that I can just take with me. So this is what it is right at the moment. So if I'm, like on a FaceTime or a chat or something, or we go to the coffee shop or the bridge, I just take this with me to work on.
And see, that would be a super one to make a head wrap out of too. Like,
yeah, because you would only have to go so far and then just knit it the same. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's other in that pattern bundle. There's others, like you saw the others. There's ones that are have more lace in them. And even I thought this was really cute too. There's this little tiny, let me find the picture here. The one up at the top, I don't know if it's your top right, but the full picture at the top, that little ring, that's an extra ring that you can make that you can loop your ends.
Oh, like a shawl ring. Yes, that's right.
So I thought that's really cool too, to keep it in place. So yeah, so if I'm sure I'll have enough left. I'll probably do one of those just to put on this, because I think pretty. When it gets into fall, just think denim shirt, jean jacket. This is going to look really good with
absolutely.
It. So
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Then I made some progress. So I've already showed you this one. I had finished this sock. This is what it's going to look like. This is the Big Smoke. I'm pretty sure I've got
it.
Okay, thanks. This is the Big Smoke by Nancy Wheeler. The Big Smoke refers to Toronto. I started these at Knit City, Toronto, which was a little over a month ago now. Yep, they're still not done. Not because of the pattern. The pattern is great. I love Nancy's pattern, and it's really cool because it's got the little garter ridge going down the heel flap and gusset. I love that little bit. I like the fancy. I'm showing you the one that's finished. I'll show you the one I've worked on this week. Okay. I like the stitch pattern. I think that's really nice too. I like the detail going down the back of the leg, how it just has a little bit of interest. I like the yarn. I love the yarn. This is Ginger Snap yarn. The colorway is
the Big Smoke.
Awaken.
Oh, did you buy that? No, you bought that before.
Yes. I bought this Knit City, Montreal.
Okay. Was there a color? Did someone do a color to go with that though? With the Big Smoke?
Yes, that was at Deborah's Yarn Indulgence.
Okay, that's what I thought. Maybe that was it. So,
but I really wanted to have some neutral socks. Now, here's the thing. So here's what I've done. So I've got the top of the sock is done. My heel flap and gusset is done. I am into the foot now. Like I'm finished my heel flap and gusset. So now I'm just knitting into the foot. Here's the thing. I love all of the elements of the sock. I like the pattern. I like the yarn. I like the pattern. I said that already, but what I don't like is knitting with a neutral yarn. I'm going to love them when they're done. It's just not bringing me joy. Like, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. It's very pretty. It's got this, delicate little flecks in it. I mean, it is very, very pretty, but it just feels like, like I've knit on this for so long and I'm not making great progress. But I think it's just because it's neutral. So it looks exactly the same when I started as when I finish. It's just all that same color. What I will also say though is at 463 yards, like all I have left to do is the foot, and I still have all of this yarn. So
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
very generous yarn skein. So yeah. And then the other thing too is I cannot for the life of me quite remember. It's a very simple pattern, but it does shift as it
Okay.
right? So I could remember the stitch pattern of like this across here, but I can never remember how much I have to shift to the left or to the right. So that requires that I have the pattern sitting with me as well. So again, not coffee shop or bridge knitting. I have to have my knit companion open so it tells me where I'm shifting to. But anyway, I look forward to having these done because they are really pretty. And then I guess the other thing that's holding me up on them is I'm thinking, well, it's not sock season. I won't need these just yet anyway. So that's those.
Okay. Okay. Mickey wanted to know about the edges of the heel flap here.
Okay.
Okay. So on these ones, and what I've been doing most of the time now when I do it, what I do is, and this was Nancy Wheeler had the 3-stitch garter ridge on each side of your heel flap. So when you're doing your heel flap, you knit 3 stitches, do the knit slip, and then at the end knit 3 stitches. When you turn back to do the other side, you knit 3 stitches, purl across, knit 3 stitches. So you've always got that 3-stitch garter ridge on each side of the sock. But what I do, because I want it to match exactly, so when you knit your 3 stitches, then you start with a slip. So it's slip, knit, slip, knit. Well, most socks are on a even number of stitches on your heel flap, but in order to make it match exactly, you need an odd number of stitches so that you end with a slip stitch again before you go into that other 3 stitches on the other side of the heel. So what I do is on that first row, when you go across, when I get to the middle of the sock, I increase 1 stitch and then continue on. So that I have 1 extra stitch for the whole heel flap. Then when I go to turn the heel, when I get to the middle of the sock, I decrease 1 stitch when I'm doing that first row of the heel flap, not the heel flap, the heel turn. So you go across, you're doing your heel turn, the very center stitch of the heel, I do a decrease to get back to the number of stitches that I originally started with. And then when you do that, it's so easy. When you've got that garter ridge all the way along, you can actually just take your needle and slip it up along that first edge of garter bumps to pick up all of your stitches. It's so easy. Like you just slide your needle in there and then start knitting. So what I do, I usually slide my needle in along them, and then I pick up 1 extra stitch right before you start into the instep of the sock. And then on the other side, I pick up the 1 stitch and then put my needle in and pick up all the stitches on the other side of the flap and then start knitting. So you end up, for your gusset, you've picked up the number of, okay, usually your heel flap is done with like your
16 rows.
Yeah, well, it depends however many you do. It's not 16 rows, it's 16 sets of rows.
16
right?
sets, yeah. So 32 rows.
Yeah, so you're picking up a stitch for every 2 rows. So I do that, and then 1 extra right in that little join between the heel flap and your instep stitches.
Well, Nancy had another cool little tip about picking up that stitch. I might need a little piece of paper here just to show you this. Here we go. So instead of just kind of picking up that stitch in between, here's what she does. The working stitches that you have on your needle. Hopefully this is going to look right. Probably not. But as the 2 stitches butt together like that. So what she does is she picks up the left leg, the stitch on the right, you would pick up the left leg. So like this one, and then the right leg of the stitch on the left. And that's what you create your stitch out of on the 2 that are like side by side. And I have been using that tip, and let me tell you, it makes such a clean pickup. So she did a little 4-minute tutorial on how to do that on her channel as well. And that's something I've picked up and I have used on every pair of socks that I've ever picked up a stitch for. It's pretty slick.
Yep. So, okay. So my next whip is my Neela. This is a pattern by Natasha
Hornby.
Last name Hornby. Okay, and to show you a picture, if I can find it. There we go. Okay, so I am most likely going to do the 3/4 length sleeve version.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got it in a neutral color. I'm not doing mine in a neutral color. I did a neutral sweater, so it's time for color. So here is my color. And
Very
I've
nice.
got it to the point now where I'm joined under the arms. So the construction, it's got this full fashioned shoulder seam where your shoulder kind of goes down the back.
Yeah.
And then you pick up stitches. So you do your back first, then you pick up stitches for the front. You knit each front down to here, then join them. So your front's got this pretty detail going down here, but the back's also got like some rows of textured stitches that go down the middle of the back as well. So right now it's just a lot of knitting in the body, but I will get to it hopefully soon. This yarn is Muse by Sonder Yarn Co. This is a discontinued yarn, but again, this yarn is the 90% superwash merino, 10% linen blend that I really like. This color is called Free Spirit. So there are a lot of, like, I think there are quite a few indie dyers that do dye this base. Like it would be the same base as this sweater, the Haiku, the Merlin by The Loving Path. I believe that Indigo Dragonfly also has, I think hers is called, I don't know, but I know she did have, because I bought it. She also has that base, that 90% linen, 90% merino, 10% linen. So yeah, so it's fingering weight. Pretty much it's all over texture in this sweater, it's really pretty. Which is fun. Yeah, so I hope to get a little more done on that this week. So.
Yeah, that's not bridge knitting either, I can tell.
No, no, it's not. So, okay, and your next?
My next one is, okay, so I had these other things on the go, and yes, I could have knit them, and I probably could have finished something, but what did I do today when it was raining? I thought, no, while it's raining anyway, I don't want to knit on anything I've already got started, so let's just start something new. And I would like to tell you that it's my last pair, because I'm sure you are all sick of seeing them, but I can't help myself. I can't stop. I don't want to stop. So I started knitting another pair of heel flap shorties. I mean, I love these socks. These ones are not for me. I'm going to give these ones to Kendall. Kendall really likes that pattern, and she's been asking about them. So this is what I have done so far. So this was rainstorm knitting today. And this is not something I normally like to do, is just letting the stripes work into the heel that way. That normally drives me bonkers. But I thought, you know what? I'm not going to have to wear them. And I'm just going to try to get over my biases and let things happen. That's how the yarn was meant to be. Let it happen. So I'm using, this is also bringing me great joy. I have a few odd 50 gram skeins where I didn't manage to get 2 pairs to do like a full pair of socks. And I thought, I can do a pair of shorties out of a 50 gram. So this is one of the ones that I had just one in. And I don't even know, do they still make this yarn? The Lion brand Mani Pedi?
I don't know. I used it double, I think, for socks.
Yeah, before, I think you did. So this is, it's just a regular, the 75-25 yarn, but it's got a really nice feel to it when you knit with it. It's got like that German yarn feel that I like. And this colorway is called Crew. And this is what, and then, so I cast on using Knit Picks Stroll and Pea Pod, one of my favorite greens, because I use it a lot from Knit Picks. But you can see it really does coordinate well with the Mani Pedi. And this is what I have going on. So I'm going to go down, and I will probably do the toe in the Pea Pod as well. Now, here's the thing. This is a pretty long color repeat. It's a long color repeat.
It is, I know.
I don't know if I'll be able to get 2 that match. So, that's definitely going to have to be a pair that I gift away, because if I'm going to wear them on my feet, they have to match. Kendall won't mind. She will love them. And I really do love this colorway. I don't know how. I think when it first came out, it was pretty popular. And I think I bought it at Joann's, and they only had the one skein. It was kind of hard to get your hands on, but it really does have some pretty colors in it. Really does. So yeah, cast that on today. No business casting on something new.
I know. I like those colors in that one.
Yeah.
But
Oh, thank you. Patricia says they do
yeah,
not make mani-pedi anymore. She got a bunch at a closeout
it's funny
store.
because Lion Brand doesn't make their sockies anymore. I thought they must just like, I don't know if they do any.
It's too bad because honestly, their sockies was one of my go-to, especially that marshmallow color. That was one of my go-to yarns, and this feels very good to work with too. So I still have some of the colors where I have 2 balls, so I can get a full pair. But again, it's like I said, it's a long color repeat, so it'd be interesting to see how these play out.
Okay, so my last whip is my Riptide Halter by Jennifer Shields Toland. And here's a picture of it. So it's got that Riptide stitch pattern that we really like, and it's pretty much all over the whole garment. So I am doing it in Kelborn Woolens Mojave. So again, this is it's a sport weight yarn, and the composition is 60% cotton, 40% linen. And actually, you know what? I don't mind knitting with this. For some reason, it seems to be okay. It doesn't seem to be hurting my hands. So I'll just go with that. So this is what I've got. So I have finished. I did go back and I did do the neckband.
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah. And I tried it on with the neckband, and it's tight getting over my head, but I can get it on. That's the only thing about this cotton linen. There is no, like when you do a rib, when you pull it, there is no give and no. So what I think I'm going to do, it will go over my head, but then it's a little bit stretched. So I think I'm going to get that black sewing elastic thread.
Yes.
And I'm going to thread it on the inside around the top of the neck so that once I get it over my head, it's back in. Because once it's on, it's perfect. It's the right size. I've tried it on. The armholes are the perfect length. I've only got another inch or so to go on the body before I go to the rib. So I'm sure I'll have this finished in the next, well, probably tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm so happy with it. And I just tried it on with a bra that's, well, the one I've got on right now. And I can show you it's a sports bra. So no wardrobe malfunctions, but it's just one that kind of goes up around your back. So then if you've got it like that, you don't see anything because it's exactly the same as the garment is. So yeah, so I'm really, really enjoying this. So it's again, like a lot of Jennifer's patterns, you know, the finishing is like your armhole edge is all done. Like when you go in and when you cast on these stitches, you do it in pattern so that it's all seamless. Your edges, your armhole edges are all done. Right. So basically, I've just got to finish the body and do the rib at the bottom, and I cast off and it's finished. There's no further finishing to do on the garment. So this is only my second skein of Mojave, and they're only 50 grams skein. So this is going to be a super lightweight.
Yeah. Very nice.
Summer top. And yeah, I really like it. And it actually looks even okay. I thought, oh, maybe I'll just have to wear it with something over it, but it actually looks okay. It doesn't feel too revealing.
You don't feel too
maybe it's exposed. Yeah. So, but it would also look really cute just with like a white linen shirt or something over top of it.
It would. Yeah. Or a white denim jacket. Do you have a white denim jacket?
Yeah, I do. So, yeah. So I'm really, really enjoying that. And that I'm hoping that will be done soon. Like,
well, tomorrow.
I can wear it this weekend, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
But yeah. So I've got other whips, but I haven't really, those are what I worked on. I haven't really worked on anything else. So just got to get those. I got lots of things that I want to cast on.
Oh, I know.
But I want to get a few things off the needles first.
Yeah. And we've got yarn in the mail, right?
Yeah. Kelly, we're supposed to tell them that.
Oh, okay. We don't have yarn in the mail.
We don't have yarn in the mail.
Well, did you get any yarn this week?
Well, I got that skein at, I got that blue, this here.
Mm-hmm.
I got that for the socks. I got the yarn for this. Because I bought that on Friday.
Right.
And I might have got some more, but I'll show it next week. I've got some more to do another summer top, but hopefully I'll have it cast on by next week. I don't have it sitting here, but so.
Okay. Well, the only yarn that I got this week was what I had you order for me from the Knitting Loft because I had a mini skein. They're dark. This is the Boots base, And I had a mini skein. They call them their darlings that I used in my faded heel tab shorties. And I liked that color so much that I thought I need that color. And I mean, I do have the intentions of making socks with it, but who knows? You never know what it's going to end up being, but it's
Yep.
just
It's
absolutely
pretty.
gorgeous.
Yep.
It's called Wildfire. And I really, really, really like this colorway. So, okay.
So,
all right. Here's
someone said they just purchased the patent croyd linen. Oh, for $5.99. Wow.
and $1.99 for shipping.
At Joann's.
Has anybody used that yet?
I haven't.
I know.
So,
Yeah, I haven't used it yet. I wonder what it feels like to work with.
well, I know, like I said, this is close to the same composition. Like this was, I think, 60 cotton, 30 or 60 cotton, 40 linen, and it was 65 cotton, 35 linen. And this, I really like this, but sometimes it depends on the spin too. Like, so I don't know. But
good.
Looks like other people ordered from Wool Warehouse too.
Yes. Oh, here's the thing though, and I'm hoping this does not pan out, but when I got the shipping notice, it said something about DHL, and gosh darn it, DHL, they're customs heavy-handed. Because it used to be Royal Mail, and it just came in the mail. So I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see. We will see. But okay, so Stephanie says that she has used the Patons linen, and she said it definitely softens over use. So, yeah. And then she's also wondering, what are our thoughts on using bamboo for summer tops? I haven't used it yet. I've used it in socks.
I've used it. I've used the Kobu, which is a Lion brand yarn, which is a cotton bamboo. I used it for a baby knit. I did find that it stretched.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little bit timid about using it for an adult garment because I didn't know whether, like, because it stretched quite a bit in the baby garment. So.
Okay. Reknit says likes I think she's talking about the Peyton's linen. She says she likes it better than the Bell. So that's interesting too.
I have actually one of the colors that I ordered in was just navy blue in the Bell, but I want to put it with the green that was very much like this green that I have in the Lena, because I still had a ball left.
Right. That would look good.
The Seaborn tee, because it's just got little stripes in it. So I'm anxious to see the Bell and the Lena in the same garment and see just how close they are.
Well, I said, no, I stand by it. I do feel like when I'm knitting this, I have split the yarn. Okay. Like I see it right away. Like, it's not like I'm splitting stitches and just going on. Like, as soon as it happens, I recognize it and I stop, and then I just pull the needle out and go back in. And I don't remember doing that when I was working with the Lena. And I said that when I was working with the Lena, that I thought that this was just a tiny bit splittier, but it's exactly the same composition. So there really shouldn't be any differences. So, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. I'm just gonna, like, especially together in the same garment, I should be able to see if there is a difference between them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So lots of people are saying that they found that the bamboo does stretch quite a bit. So yeah. So I don't know, maybe it's something that you can hold with something else. Although in a summer top, you don't really want to hold it with a lot of things. You want it to kind of be lightweight, but.
Somebody's saying that they used it for a bathing suit cover up and it really stretched. Do you not have a white cover up that you knit?
Yeah, but it's cotton.
Cotton. Okay.
So with that one, and it stretches a bit, not too bad. I actually throw it in the washer and dryer.
Okay.
So
good.
Okay. Well, I think that's it.
I think so.
Okay. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. It was lovely chatting with everybody. And yeah, we hope that everybody has an amazing week coming up. I know we're getting into a holiday week, at least here in Canada. We have, holiday next Monday, but then I believe the United States is 3 days after that. Yeah.
On the 4th, yes.
So Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anybody in Canada that's celebrating the holiday weekend, enjoy. I know we're having everybody over for a barbecue, so that'll be nice. The kids are all excited. The pool's, up and been used a lot in this weather, so that's kind of nice to see.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah, so take care, everybody. I hope everybody has a great, amazing week. Happy knitting, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.